We have secured the bag.
This is the second rental income property that I've been able to acquire at only 22 years old. I'm going to discuss how I was able to do it, everything from the beginning, how I managed to get 2 rental properties under my name without using any of my money. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Let me just show you the way and everything you need to know. I already have a tenant that is leasing the place from me with a 1-year contract. I'm going to talk about my experience and everything like that. So,
Enough talk, let's get to the video.
alright, so I just want to show you my goals, what I'm working towards. And the first one is to reach 700,000 in real estate holdings. So that is basically just the 2 properties. Right now they're each worth around 250. So I have about 500,000. But let's say they appreciate to 300,000 in a few years, and the other one gets to 400,000. That would be 400 plus 300, 700,000. Or I could just buy a third one if I want to achieve this faster. And then I want to have $300,000 in my Fidelity Roth IRA 401k.
Hey, 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 hey. What's up?
Welcome to the Flaming Profits YouTube channel, where we teach you how to become a more profitable investor in the stock market. We teach you everything you need to know in order to build wealth. I am so happy to be back. It's been a lot of work getting everything done for the second rental property. That is why I took a break, but I am back on committing to you, so make sure you're subscribed. You do not want to miss out on any upcoming videos. So this is the first rental property. Right now it's worth around $251,000, and I'm actually just renting it out to an uncle. So I'm not actually charging him basically anything for profit for me to get rental income. I'm basically just charging him the mortgage costs, which I'm completely fine with. He's helped us a lot before, so it's kind of a thank you for him. And I actually don't mind having him there because it's basically I have a good tenant that will basically pay the mortgage down, and it will not cost me anything. So I'm just gaining equity by doing this. And so yeah, that's the first one. Eventually, once he decides to move out, I think he's planning on purchasing a home. I'll be able to actually rent it out for the full retail rental price, which is $1,500. My mortgage on this property is only around $520 plus the HOA, so in total it's about $800. So if I were to charge $1,500, that would leave a lot of money to profit, around $700 in just extra income. So how did I get this for free, you might ask?
Great question, sir.
So basically, my parents were having a divorce, and they had to sell the property to divide up the money between my mom and dad. And basically, my dad borrowed money from my uncle to basically buy the house. That way my mom wouldn't want to sell it. And so we basically bought it between my dad and my uncle. And basically, my uncle needed his money back because he had some debt that he had to pay off. So basically, me knowing about real estate, me being qualified for real estate, basically when I was 18 years old, I went to the bank and told them, hey, I want to invest in properties in the future. What do I need to do to be set up for success? That way, one day I can actually apply for a mortgage and get approved. And basically, I just created a checklist and made sure I qualified for everything, and I was working towards achieving all the criteria that they had. And basically, I went to the bank and told them, hey, I want to buy this property from my dad. My dad only needs $150,000, so that's the only loan that I need. Normally, the property would have costed around $200 or $220, $230, but since it was only $150, the bank had no problem lending me the money. I fit all the criteria. I had my 2 years of work income. I had my good credit. I had no debt. So yeah, that's basically all you need. And we use something called a gift of equity, which basically would would make it so that I wouldn't need a down payment to buy it. It was basically just, here's my qualifications. I need 150. Can you approve it? And so they did, and this was with Wells Fargo. Alright, next. So you know how I bought the first property? Well, now I wanted to invest in a second property, but I didn't have the money. So how did I get the second property for free? Well, I only have a loan of $150,000, but because of the gift of equity, my loan ended up being only around $80,000. So basically, I go to the bank and I said, hey, I'm interested in getting a home equity loan. My home is worth $250,000 and I only have an $80,000 loan. Can I borrow my equity to invest into another property or whatever I want to do with that money? And they said yes. So basically, $250,000 minus what I owe is $80,000. So all that money I could have used for a gift of equity loan. Sorry, not gift of equity, home equity loan. And I only needed around $50,000, so I took that out, and they just wrote me a big check for $50,000. And as long as I paid, I think it's $298 per month for 15 years, then there will be no issues. I would just get the money and just continue paying $200 every single month. So that's what I did to get the $50,000 that I needed to buy the second rental property, and I used that as a down payment. And even if I have to pay $298 per month, it's really no big deal because I'm going to be making that money in rental income profit from the second investment. So it's basically a free loan. Alright, so I take out the $50,000 and then I applied to several lenders. I ended up going through UFCU. After negotiating the interest rate, I was able to lock in at 3%, and I bought this, and I recently leased it. So yeah, this is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, around 820 to 830 square feet. I'm not sure on the exact square foot. This one says 834. It's the same address, and it's worth around $255. It was actually selling for $230, but I had to overbid. I paid $20,000 more, just because it's really competitive. Here are some pictures of the place. It was actually recently remodeled. It looked amazing. This is one of the best condos that I've ever seen, and I was actually really surprised that there wasn't any more competition. Basically just me. I guess because I just bid the most on it. But yeah, I was able to lease this to someone for $1,545. I went ahead and bought a washer and dryer for the tenant, and I just said, hey, I can include the washer and dryer for just $50 per month. So yeah, $1,545. It's a great place. I learned a lot about screening tenants. I used Zillow Rental Manager to show the place and get people that were interested. I showed it to about 12 people. I was basically acting like a realtor. Did you know that there's realtors for leases as well? So yeah, that's basically what I did. I actually leased it in a week. It took me about 5 days, but I did learn a lot. It was definitely an interesting experience. So yeah, this is a place. And basically, my mortgage for this place is around $1,000. But because there's an HOA, a homeowners association, where you basically pay to be part of the community, and they take care of the outside of the property, that costs around $220, $230. So my actual cost is around $1,200, and then I'm collecting $1,500. So that leaves me about $200 to $300 profit. I'm not really that big into making profit from renting it out, the rental income. I will eventually, once I basically have no mortgage. But for right now, all I want is to have about $1 million in real estate under my control, because I know that would be able to leverage that into getting small apartments. I know banks will like that. So yeah, this is worth around $255,000. The rent estimate is $1,380, but I was able to lease it for $1,545, so that's pretty good. This numbers might not be that accurate Like this is behind 1,380. The owner basically just bought it, and then he went through a divorce, so he had to sell the property. He was selling it for $232. I wish I had paid that price, but I unfortunately bid $250, and the seller accepted it right away. I'm still gonna make money because this is a long-term hold. This is the actual documentation of the loan. As you can see, I borrowed $200,000 at 3%, so it's about $843.21. Not bad for making $1,545 per month in rent. But yeah, so yeah, here are all the numbers. There's a ton of fees that you're gonna have to pay in closing costs, but you can always negotiate that. What I did was I got approval from 4 banks, and I basically asked them what their interest rate was, and then I went to UFCU and said, hey, this other bank is offering me this price, can you do better than that? And basically they accepted that. So that's how I got to 3%. Originally I think I was gonna do 3.4 or 3.3. So there are basically 4 ways that you can make money through real estate that I've learned. And number 1 is property appreciation. So you buy it for one price, and eventually the property is gonna go up in value. In 2 to 5 years, 10 years, the property is gonna be worth a lot more than what you paid for, and you're still paying the same amount, or you might have it paid off, but basically the price you paid is the same, but the price that it's worth goes up in value. That's why you invest in appreciating assets like real estate. Number 2 is rental income. So yeah, I'm making about $200 to $300 per month just for renting it, and that money goes directly to my pocket. Next is you're building equity every single month. So every month that your tenant pays the mortgage, you're basically gaining free equity in the real estate. So you're not even having to pay for it. It's basically like buying something and then recuperating your cost and then making more money with it. So it's kind of crazy how this is actually free. Yeah, so the equity is paid by the tenant. And then the last benefit is your net worth goes up in value. So the reason why you want to raise your net worth is because later on, when you start doing loans for commercial properties, they're gonna actually pay close attention to your net worth. How many assets do you have under your control? How many liabilities? And you're basically just a number to them. They calculate a formula, and then you're given a number, and then depending on that number, they're either going to approve you or deny you. So that's why it's important. So yeah, my goals is to reach $700,000 in real estate, and then $300,000 in my Fidelity account, and that's where I have the Roth IRA and the 401k. I think this is easily achievable. I'm gonna try to do one more rental property this year, or if not, next year. But I think the goal will be one property every single year. And I basically found a way to structure any loan to get approved. So basically, I'm actually gonna save this for another video because it can be a little bit lengthy. But there's a way that you can structure mortgages. That way you can take out as many loans as you want. It's actually pretty crazy, and I'm glad I was able to discover it. And that's what I'm gonna do to get the next one. There's a way for you to structure your loans. That way it can be seen as you have no debt, and you can just keep on getting a new home anytime you want, as long as you have the 20% down payment or whatever down payment they require. Thank you all so much for joining the Flaming Profits YouTube channel, where we teach you everything you need to know in regards to money, how to build financial wealth, anything stock market related. Make sure you subscribe for more amazing videos. That way you can stay in tune into my journey, any tips and advice that I'm going to give you later on in order to build your real estate empire like I'm doing so right now. Thank you all so much. Make sure you hit the notification bell icon. That way you do not miss any upload. Make sure you like this video. I would really appreciate that from you. Subscribe, and I'll see all of you in the next one. Peace.